Well, welcome to this evening's stream. We're going to be doing an intro into how to actually paint a forest. You can imagine this, if you're in the forest, there's trees all around you. Everywhere you look, there's a tree, a bush, a pebble. It's such a lot of information coming into you. So what we really need to do is to initially take in the 5 steps of how to draw and how to start an oil painting. Number 1, we want to decide on what we're going to be drawing and painting. Now in a forest are full of trees. Everywhere you look, there's trees. We want to decide on what we're going to be drawing. We can't draw all the forest. Number 2, we need to identify where the top and bottom of our subjects are. Number 3, we need to put the top and bottom in on our drawing or painting. Number 4, we have to decide upon exactly where we want to start, obviously on the top and bottom line, and we want to put the mark on our canvas or drawing where that point represents. So here, you can see up on the top here, we have a photograph of the scene which we're going to be drawing today. Now it's a fairly simple scene to begin with. I'm going to be doing a lot of these intros into how to draw and forest and how to start a painting, and we're going to get more complicated, but I thought for this evening we'll just start off with a fairly simple sketch. I always like to put in the halfway, the quarter markers. This just helps me identify exactly where something is. And if you look now on the sketch, I'm not obscuring anything, I hope. So if you now look on the sketch, we really want to put in the key features. So I can see from where I'm looking at now that the entry point of the far left, or the top, is about here, and approximately halfway, just below, I'd say just about here, it gets rather thin. There's a elementary, just really sort of basic stuff initially, just draw a line through to represent where that is. We can always correct this as it comes in and down. Very rough, very basic. Over here we have a path disappearing into the just above the halfway marker, and we have a piece of grass there, pathway here, so it's approximately that as a straight line almost. Not quite, but it's a rough guide. Approximately here we've got something like a bank coming out, and just put in the basic elements and as we see them. Over here, again, we've got something which looks like a tree, or distorted tree, I should say, coming up, going across, probably a bit further out than that. So initially, just rough shapes. Coming across, see the angle, down, coming around, something like that. You don't need to be too precise at this stage. It's nice, obviously, if you get it just right, but we don't have to do everything. I think one of the big issues about learning is you think you've got to do everything perfect. You really don't. We have a shape coming across. These are trees. This actually looks like it could come a lot further over. I'm drawing something from the side, so yeah, so that needs to come out over here, which means we need a bigger gap there. Now the beauty of charcoal, these little rubbers will just take it right out. At least enough for us to re-establish it later. Yeah, that's a bit happier position. This is what I say about it. You don't need to worry too much about it being right or wrong. at this stage, because corrections are quite easy to make. I don't get too bogged down with this shape. We can play around with it later. This webinar should only be around about, I'm aiming for an hour, nothing more. If we overrun, then fine, okay, but I'd rather keep it short and swift, and it'll be posted on the website. Again, over here, something like that. We've got something going on over there. And I don't want to go too much into this. So I think we've got basic elements in place-ish. Let's see where this lies. This comes in across here. Kind of goes up. A bit more space on that side. Okay, now I'm going to introduce something which is a sponge. Now this is just a tiny little sponge, sort of thing you get for doing the dishes with. Totally clean, totally dry, no grease, no nothing on it except charcoal dust. And here I just want to put in some of the big dark areas. Just rough them in. Anything which is got a little bit of value to it, we can stick in. This is actually kind of dark in that area. Let's just put a bit more dust on that. Being kind of kind to my fingers, we could just whack it in and with the fingers, but gets a bit messy. This is very wide, I can see that now. Let's push that over here. So let's just now re-put that in. I can use a finger on that one, I think. Yeah, that can even come over as well. Okay, let's put that sponge down for a second. So now I want to start putting in some of the background stuff. Now, this is all very light, but I think it would really work if it was a little bit darker. In actual fact, I kind of see this as we're going to change this area considerably. We've got darkness coming across and going in here. So that's kind of nice. We've got something popping up there. There's a dark area there, as we can see. Let's put that shape in. The paper I'm using, by the way, is just very cheap lining paper. Sort of thing you get from B&Q or any DIY centre. Nothing special. Yeah, it's going on better with the fingers, I think, for speed. Let's do this. Okay. This comes down, moves up. Now, once you've decided, if you can imagine this is we're in a forest, not just, this is obviously we're in my studio, but let's say we're in an actual forest. I'm going to put this in as dark, like I said. There's so much going on all around us. The trees, maybe we've got people coming up to us and talking to us and distracting. But initially, we need to just look at the big areas, the big shapes. I'm going to make this darker, so all around here is going to be it's going to be a different drawing to the one which we're looking at. I like the tree formations. I just think this is a bit weak and I want to strengthen it up. So let's just do that. We'll bring that down. The tree itself, we'll put some texture in there in a second, but for the now, let's just have it coming as a rough form. We can sharpen the edge up. There we're getting there. So let's bring this down here. Anything which I put in like this, I can quite easily remove. I can make lighter. The whole thing is mine. I just want to roughly put this kind of strange looking tree trunk in. and take that all the way over. So we've got this slightly foreground tree going in. Right, let's just get this over here. Now I'm using willow charcoal, so nothing special. I do have nitrum charcoal with me, but this is going to be a very quick sketch. The reason why we're doing a sketch rather than a painting, it's a practice run. We can see where certain things go. We can make changes very quickly. And more to the point, if it's something which is like a mood shift, we can do it extremely quickly. Let's bring this down. Now, path, not too much. Let's bring this in here now, coming up. Let's just bring that down a little bit. Coming across there. Yeah, I can see I've got some of these. I've used a bit of artistic license, I think, on this. It's because I'm at an angle. I'm going to use that as a good excuse. I've had 3 months, I think, of being lung infections and God knows what else, and I'm still not through. So I do apologise about my voice. I'm hoping to get it back before summer. Now, this is just beginning to look like it's going somewhere. We've got the bare bones in, some shadows on here, a bit of texture going in. This is a rock. We can put it in. We might tend to leave it. Let's stick it in for now. It looks like something is... just look at the bare bones of it, nothing more. You know, I'm not so sure it is a rock. I think it's probably a tree stump of some description, but we can stick it in and we can decide what we do with it later. So up here, two trees coming up, and we'll start to complicate this area in a second. I just want to get a few bits and pieces in, like shadows, dappled light areas, marks on the ground. It's like something going on there, coming across. You can see how cheap the paper is. And the purpose about doing this is you don't make it special. The last thing you want to do is to make it anything special at all. Now, if we come to a clean sponge, just a second, we can use this to lift things out. We can also use it to sharpen stuff up if we bring that round. Again, lifting up. There's a number of tools which I've got here which we can use, and a sponge is kind of a cool looking one. Put those across there. Now this area, let's just look at that for a sec. So we got some light and dark shapes then. Let's darken these areas over here. Coming across there's a dark area. Now, let's lift off some stuff. Putty rubber, where are you? There we go. Oops, sorry about my head being in the way. So, easy putty rubber. The best ones are the grey ones. And Royal Talons, if you can get hold of them, seem to be the best ones that I've ever used. So, let's look at this now. I'll just put a little bit of marking in around here, a little bit. Let's get that in place. We're kind of almost reversing this out. I don't want to make it white. But I do want to get this in as a dark area in here. That is a very different shape in there. Kind of reasonably important to get the shape-ish right, I suppose. The reason I wanted to, just like I said, doing this in a dark area, I just wanted to increase the mystique, I suppose. Have it as a dark forest. We're going to change the background. Let's start doing that now onto this area. Very simply, if you squish the putty rubber up to an edge, it's so easy to then put something in which could be a tree. Again, just, here we go, put that in. Now, from these trees are all over the place, I would say it's going to be a theme in this make-up forest now almost, that it's going to have some similar themes going on. So initially lines just representing the tree trunks. And then some shapes coming in. Now, again, like I said, this we can have some foliage being put on there. The foliage is a bit sparse, but we can put something on there like that. It's quite easy to do. Just wiggle that around. Doesn't have to, you don't have to draw every leaf. Marking is okay, just making it look like something's there. Let's continue this. Moving over here, for example, we've got some bits and pieces which we can bring over here, so this can come over. Bring that over, up and away. And it's, the putty rubber will just lift and dance across this. You can see you can actually make some really thin marks. Now we don't need to make this drawing too precise. The main reason is you can imagine we're not doing this from a photograph, we're actually in the forest. And because we're actually in the forest, we can select what to draw, what to paint. So we're making a feasibility study for a painting and massively changing this because, like I said, I don't like this open space. I want it to be dark and a bit more stuff going on. So let's put another tree in over here. And that we can hint at something like leaves or something like that, a bit of foliage going on in the background. This, once we've done it and we've got an idea for a design, we can then move into the studio. In the studio, we can obviously then develop the painting, and this is one of the beauties of doing this. It's also, because you're doing a charcoal sketch of the scene, you're familiarizing yourself with the actual scene itself. And clearly, if you've made an error, well, it's pretty easy to correct in charcoal. It's not like pencil, which takes a little bit more getting corrections made. It's more like an imprimatura, I suppose, in many aspects, in oils, where you can really shove things around. Now we can see how this is beginning to change up. I'm going to make this a little bit dark in areas. Streamline that a bit. If something's too bright, too light, it's easy to knock it back. Should have brought the hairspray through, because what we can do is we can spray this, or fixative is another way of putting it, and we can really make these darks very, very, very dark. You can continue adding charcoal until you get it really, really, really dark. Not paying too much attention to the photograph, I must be honest, on this side, because obviously this is all being kind of made up. Let's reinforce that tree which is coming out. There we go. And let's put something going on in the background. Could be a bush, could be anything, could be a bit of dappled light, absolutely anything at all. It's really this sort of thing is, it's your forest. You can do whatever you wish with it in this area. I like certain things. I like the way this curved in and introduced, and I do like the way the path just leads through. What I kind of wanted to do, I think, really, and I looked at this, is maybe we could push this out a bit more, certainly bring it down. We can develop that up in a second. Just make it dark for a moment. And I'll darken this area up a bit as well. So what I'd like to do is have this path kind of winding round. So it kind of goes off in that distance. I know that I've walked this, obviously, because I've taken this photograph. But now we've got this darkened area of forest, we can actually take the path and move its direction. Kind of have it going off in a slightly different way. Just bring that down. We can actually bring this, just change this slightly. So what I'm saying here is, if you like certain trees, if you like certain shapes, great, that's brilliant. But you can actually change it. As you're painting, you can increase the drama of something. Kind of like the way that's just ghosted in there. That's looking as though let's push that back a bit. There we go. And then we can have it coming up there through the other end. Like I said, if it's too bright, take it down a little bit. Redefine it. Charcoal is brilliant for this sort of thing. Bring this down. Now, let's have a look at this area a little bit, because we've kind of stuck something in which is this behind, and it's made this kind of trident fork shape, which I don't really like. So just honing in on just how you can really change this. Let's move that over. Take that away. This is the beauty of charcoal. You're making decisions and you go, oh, it didn't work. Okay, change it. Here we're going to make that darker. Redefine that edge. Let's make that a bit more tree-esque coming over here. So we kind of almost got a reversed scene going on, but we'd get the sort of thing where the trunks would be lighter than the surrounding certain lighting conditions, and it will give us a chance to then look at detailing up these trees. Let's just put something dark in there. Massage it in with a finger. And I'm going to do the same into this. So I want to just develop that out a bit. Like those branches coming through. Again, underneath here. I mentioned the 5 principles of starting a painting at the beginning of this, and I want to talk about that for a second. If you just try, if you're in the forest and you try to just paint or draw, then you're going to, try and draw the whole forest? It's not going to work. So you have to decide what it is that you're going to be drawing first off. Make that mental decision of that tree's nice, that bush is good, that path is a feature, and then develop your painting and drawing from those main elements. And so that's the first thing. Decide what it is that you're going to be drawing or painting. Once you've done that, and only once you've done that, can you really start to identify your subjects. Or your elements within your painting. Once you've identified the elements, see where the top and bottom is of a particular shape, like the top of this and maybe the bottom, this point of here. There'd be an angle from here down. You can see the entry point on your canvas because you want to include this tree a little bit. So you make that decision and you see the angle, then you mark off down at the bottom and you use those 2 points to then map out everything. That's a fairly straightforward way of doing things. The other way, which is what I did here, which also helps, is to identify where the middle is, the quarter and the eighth. You're not going to grid it because there's nothing to grid. But it tells you, you can see a path that's just above halfway. If you know where halfway is, it helps you to put those locations in really accurately. Now, I'm beginning to like the way this is beginning to take shape. I'm looking at, I don't want to go to detail just yet, but just to show you how simple that would be. Lightening that up a bit. And then you can really begin to put in some of these features. Now, common mistake when you're doing things like this, people just want to put lines in. Please don't do that. It's really not very good. Shapes are far better than any line. And if you can start putting the shapes in, it will actually, if you put them in the right place, I'm actually not even looking, I'm just doing this from imagination, but if you put these shapes in the right places, well, guess what? It'll look like a right painting. So here we go. And like I said, I don't want to go too bogged down into detail, but just to sort of show you the sort of thing which I'm rabbiting on about. That's pretty much it. You don't want to go light to the point where it's white. You want to put a tonal value study in there. Now, let's make this darker as we go in. Sharpen that edge up again. Okay. Now we can bring across here something. Again, mark that off into distance. So we've got a light bit there. Now, tonal value is extremely important. In actual fact, if you're doing a painting, your tonal values are more important than colour. And it might come as a surprise, but it's the truth. You can paint a bright orange forest if you wanted, and it'll look like a bright orange forest. But if you get the tonal values right, and there's a caption on it saying, yep, I'm a bright orange forest. So tonal values are more important than colour when you're doing a painting. Do bear that in mind. Okay, that's kind of going off all sorts of, it's not really the right shape, but never mind. I'm more interested in the effect of that, I think, than anything else. And we can just add a bit of texture to some of that. But more importantly, I do want to get that looking a little bit more realistic, so let's bring that down. Straightened edge. Now, if you were to go to the forest and do some sketching, this is a very therapeutic way to start off. You don't need to have it's going to be a marvelous drawing or something in mind, but just get in the forest and have a practice run. Have some fun. It really works. Now, a couple of more bits and pieces there just to complicate out a bit more. And then let's look at this area. And again, something coming in from that. So as we progress these ideas, I'm going to probably do another sketch before going to a painting, and then we can decide which painting to actually develop up, or what image to develop up into a painting is better English. The imprimatura stages. We can begin to see where this is beginning to look. Let's just make this a little bit more like something. Kind of feels like it needs to go through here. It doesn't. It kind of almost does. I'm not quite sure what the truth is on that image. But if something looks a little strange, well, maybe you just need to put a bit of something in there to make it look less strange, that it can go through. Could be a fallen tree. In preparation for this, I looked at some of the photographs which we took whilst we were in Northern California a couple of years back, and there's such a lot of amazing material I've got to actually put into drawings and paintings. So we can have a lot of fun with things like this. Now, a couple of things just indicating light or something could be bouncing off of bushes or whatever, can just be pushed in there. So it doesn't look like it's just a mass of dark. Now the putty rubber, let's just bring in some more shapes as it comes up. These will help the drawing. And you can see now we've really changed that whole feel of what this photograph was looking like. And we can hint at foliage coming in. There we go. Just with a putty rubber, just lift it and make it a hint of something. You don't have to do every single leaf. Over here, just had a little bit of something, complication in that area. And really all I'm doing here is playing. Now, I'm just like literally fiddling around the place, just seeing what comes of it. Some things we will latch onto and go, oh yeah, that's okay. Others we're just going, nah, it needs shifting. We're getting there. Maybe this just needs a little bit of lightening up some areas. So just to complicate that area out. Okay, now, so we've got our guide photograph, but it's changed dramatically. Bring that across. Now, let's look at this. Just a bit of smudging going in there, softening some of these areas up. Now, this area, let's see what we can do with this. I kind of feel, because the path has shifted over, make that a little bit more obvious. And it's kind of going over in this direction. Because there's a path in there, and some of you agree with this, it's a personal thing. It's like it brings in a narrative, like, where does the path go? What is the path? Without the path, the painting or the drawing in this particular case would be wouldn't be as possibly as interesting. So I think it's really important that we put things in like these paths. And in this case, the path didn't go that way. It went straight out of the picture. But I feel it works. Let's just make that a little bit less here. Coming over, breaking this straight line up, it's really important to do. Right, now again, coming in with this, it's a dark mass. We want to put some interest in there. It's just as easy as that. Not all trees go up, do remember that. Some of them go off at an angle. When you go to the forest next, just do have a good look and see how nature just spreads out. Now we've done that. Just a little bit of hint at some foliage coming around those trunks. Possibly a bit of dappled light hitting some of the bushes or whatever over there. And I'll come in with the dark and just correct anything that you feel just needs a bit of working on. Maybe a tree needs to be defined. Obviously in the distance your trees won't be too thick unless because you are in Northern California, where some of the trees are. Well, we visited one tree where they put a road through so you could drive your car through it. The tree was still living. Massive trees. You don't get that in the New Forest. Again, we have tidy brains, and sometimes, if you stick something in that's not right, well, just take it out. Don't worry about it. Don't stress over it. Fear, when it takes hold of us, stops us doing all sorts of bits, including, especially painting and drawing. Don't let the fear take you. If something's not right, take it out. It's not going to bite you. Let's just look at this, just put a bit of something in there, slight hint of a tree going off. Putty rubber really thin, bring it down. Now we're getting somewhere. Let's just have it feels like we need a little bit something in here. If there's a path there, then it's going to be a bit clearer maybe. Take it a little bit down. Introduce that path, just bring it back a bit so you can see it clearer. So look, it's getting there, isn't it? We are in the throes of editing some drawing modules as well, real sort of ABC stuff, how to draw proportion, line and mass, what it actually physically means, and those will be going live on the website as soon as we can get the edits done and the cuts, and then we'll begin to really start to make some new recordings on painting. So the future's looking very bright now, almost on the mend. Don't want to be too positive over it, just in case. So again, the patio, we've got a dark area here. Now, what's going to be on there? We can see there's a bit of bushes and grass and things. So just break up anything which resembles a straight line as such, because you wouldn't have a straight line necessarily in nature. Having said that, I'm sure there's one or two. No such thing as nothing. But what we want to do with this is just make it so it looks a bit more believable. Now, it could be trees, it could be, not trees, little bush, what do we call them? Plants. We'll call them plants that could stick up, long grasses. Just put a hint or two of those in. If you wanted to do exactly what was in the photograph, you can do. It's just going to take obviously a little longer to do something if you're going to want it to be representational, exact to the photograph. But if you don't want that or you don't need that, and just using the photograph as a rough reference because you like certain features, well, you know, that's where your creativity can come in and you can play with these shapes. Let's stick a rock in here. So let's imagine that we've got, where's the sunlight coming? Let's put this, so it's coming from over here. So let's put a few marks in. Marks, obviously we need to make them horizontal-ish. Don't make them lines, but make the shapes, generally speaking, horizontal. And then you can lift, if I can get this putty rubber to work, aspects of it. Cut in vertically. So you get a little bit of the, looks like texture of the path coming in. Again, we have very tidy minds, so don't put a pebble every 2 inches. That will not work. You know, the picket line fence, don't do this because it looks real rubbish. Just scribble, dance in a horizontal fashion. It was not like this, but like that. Let it dance across. Roughly smooth that out. And then with the putty rubber, just come in and lift off some of the highlights. Putty rubber is your friend in things like this. Probably overdid that a little bit, but never mind, eh? As you get closer, you could end up, let's just put I'm going to say a boulder, but let's just put something a bit more solid in. Here we go. Just a bigger shape of one of those. And again, the putty rubber, where the light areas are, let's take it and make it a bit lighter. Break off some of those. Break off, break up. I meant to say not break off. Brain's going. Right, here we go. I'm just going to change that. It's there, but it's, you know, it's kind of looking a bit, what is it? So, and sometimes you have to make a decision. Do you put something in or do you take it out? You know, it's the choices are yours. Okay, where are we with this now? This looks like it's hanging, so we need to make sure it doesn't hang. So let's put something in there. And again, I think here, doesn't have to even be much. Let's just push that over. Yeah. So this is quite near ground, so whatever's going to be in there is going to be a lot higher contrast or brighter than something further back. Let's put some weird shape in. Maybe have it follow through behind this tree. It's just what happens if we just take that out. There's a light bit of grass there, which in the painting we might include, but I don't know if we need to include it with the drawing. Let's see. Okay, let's just have a quick look at that. I think if I was in the forest and I was sat there, wanted to make an interesting drawing, which a question mark would I want to paint, it's pretty much done. It's pretty much what I wanted to do. You've got we massively changed this area. It's a darkened forest now. It's got things going on with it which it didn't have before. And yes, we could continue with the drawing and putting more details, maybe change the shape, maybe make it look more representational to the actual image. I think for now, rather than do that, I think we've got a good place where we can just quit whilst we're ahead, as I say, and just take it. So we've used a photograph, but the whole theme has been really to get out into the forest. Take a sketch pad, your charcoal, your putty rubber. Decide on what it is that you are going to paint. There's trees all around you. That's a nice tree. That's a nice rock. That's a nice feature. Oh, look, there's a path. If they're spread all over, you can bring them together into one composition. You don't have to draw exactly what you see. Draw what you feel. And do remember the 5 elementary principles of starting. Number 1, decide what you want to draw. Number 2, where's the top and bottom? Identify the top and bottom of the key elements. Put the top and bottom on your canvas or drawing, or pad, I should say. Decide where to start. You can't start in the middle because you don't know where that is. You only know where the top and the bottom is. So if you have a feature like this, great. And if you have a feature like that, great. There's an angle, use it. A knitting needle or a paintbrush will come in very useful for that. If not, just use your finger, see the angle and go, okay, it's there. Once you get these basic marks in, you can adapt them and develop them and change them. And I think that's really it. Do remember you can change things around. There's so much you can do with a stick of charcoal and a putty rubber. So I hope you've all enjoyed that. I'm going to be putting this onto the website as well, and we're going to be doing an awful lot more of these sketches from seascapes to all sorts of stuff, and it's going to be quite a regular feature. So look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye for now.